So today's video is about running a D&D club for high school students or other school-age students, and it could be at a high school, it could be through a church youth group or something like that. So let's talk about it right after the intro. So for my day job, I'm a high school science teacher, and I really enjoy it. And then last year, I also decided that I would offer a Dungeons & Dragons club during our activity period, which is about twice a month we meet. So in this video, I want to talk about some of the rewards, but also some of the challenges of running that kind of club. And then we'll end the video talking about what are some of my own goals for moving this club into the future. So let's first talk about the rewards, which are many. So during our club, I run one table, and I run an old school OSR type game. And then I have a student DM who also runs a 5e game. And he has a very loyal following of folks who show up. And I've been fortunate that my table has kind of settled down to 5 regulars. So this is a really nice chance to interact with students, informally and chat with them a bit. But also I think it's important because it's a good opportunity then to help teach them the game, to move the hobby forward into the future. And what's really neat is it's the first time for many. So that's a really special honor to be the one teaching them that. So you're introducing them to the hobby. And one thing also is, they're not jaded. Your encounters don't have to be like super complex or super complex traps or, really super deep role playing. They really don't. Whatever you're presenting to them, it's the first time for them. So if you want to run something like Keep on the Borderlands or some other smaller classic modules, Lost Mine and Phandelver, they haven't seen it before. You don't have to even worry about that. So it's a little less DM prep, although certainly there is some prep. And I think it's really nice to be able to provide a space for students who are into D&D and other role-playing games and things like that. Now, let's just be honest. As American schools, we do plenty for the sports kids. And that's okay. I'm not necessarily knocking people for playing sports by any means. But I think we really do have an overemphasis on it in our culture. So I think, at least for me, I feel like, well, this is a nice way to provide, something for the other kids who are interested in this sort of thing. And one thing that surprised me that I think is very pleasant is I've had some family support. A lot of these students, they come from households where maybe mom or dad was a role player, and I've had some parents even send in some things. They sent in the terrain kits from the D&D, the ones that were at Ollie's a few months ago, and the token kits. So that's really nice. They've been very supportive of that. Well, like anything, there are challenges. I think the main thing to remember is you are gaming with kids. The game is going to be a very different game than if you're gaming with your peer group. And obviously my peer group is a little bit older. They have silly names. Sometimes they act a little bit silly. I think one thing that you can do to try and help that, first of all, you can provide a list of names if that's a problem. But also I think table rules are really important. Just to state that, and I think really surprisingly, one of the main table rules is everybody is seated. Even if we're around a table, nobody's standing, we all need to be seated. It just calms everybody down a little bit. And things like, please don't fiddle with the dice, or we only roll the dice in the dice tray and things like that. Sometimes they're a little fidgety. So table rules can really help with that. Another challenge is you often have a rotating group of PCs. It's almost sometimes more like you're running a demo game. Now, I'm lucky my group is pretty stable, but kids are sometimes absent. Sometimes they have to miss, they have to go to another club, or they have an academic commitment, or they have to get tutors so they understand the quadratic equation. And, certainly that's important too. They have to get good grades. I mean, that's the primary thing. And I've even had students, they'll sit at the table once. They want to see what this is all about. And then for whatever reason, they don't come back. Maybe it's just that group wasn't their group of friends, or they just wanted to try it out and, just try it out one time. And that's fine. So I think it's just to be aware of not to be expecting a long-term campaign with a lot of character development and many factions and things like that. It's just not that. Like I said, it's more of a little lighthearted and more of a drop-in sort of thing. And I think one of the other challenges is finding good, consistent student DMs. I mean, because that's really the goal, that the students are, running the games for each other and playing with themselves. I mean, I don't mind running a table. I enjoy it. But I would like to see a bit more with the student DMs. I think, again, it's just they're students, they're young people. They may not know how to run, a continuing kind of game or a campaign like that. Just they haven't had the experience with it. And also kids are busy. Sometimes they might, they really want to run a game, and maybe they even can. They have those skills, but they're also in the band, or they're also in, student council or something else, or they have to get tutored. So I think that's one of the challenges, is finding good, consistent, solid student DMs. So what are my goals moving forward? One thing I'd like to do is I really would like to grow the club. I guess I'd say right now there are maybe 10 or 12 students. And what I saw, especially last year, there was a whole lot of enthusiasm, a whole lot of interest at the beginning of the year and people wanting to join the club. But then it really settled down to a smaller number, smaller number of dedicated players. And some of that's to be expected. But I would like to grow it. And I really would like the players to encourage their friends. Hey, this is pretty good. Why don't you come and sit in? But I think also for that, like I said, we need another DM or two, another couple student DMs so that we have these other tables available. So, the bottom line is I'm only one person. I can only handle 5 or 6 kids. I can't run multiple tables at once. So, and I'm the teacher. That's the bottom line too, that it's better to have the students running as well. Another thing that I'd really like to do eventually is maybe different genres or different games. Now, I'm running an older school style D&D, and many students are only familiar with 5e. So I kind of like that, okay, at least you're seeing a different game. At least you're seeing that, hey, this hobby isn't just 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I'm not knocking on it at all, but just, there's more to it. But I really think it would be nice if there were different genres, if occasionally we could run a science fiction or a superhero game or something like the Supernatural TV show. I think one of the challenges there is that, things like Star Wars and Star Trek, and maybe even a little bit Marvel, because there's been a few dry years in terms of the movies, maybe aren't totally central to everybody's experience in the way they were maybe in the 80s. I don't know. Like, I really doubt students today have a broad vision of Star Trek or experience with Star Trek, for just as one example. But however, still, I think it would be nice for them to realize that RPGs are not just D&D. That's not the end-all and be-all. Yeah, it's the gateway game for most of us and for most people, but it's a whole big, broader hobby. And I wish I could bring that into the club somehow moving forward. So what do I want to say overall? Although there's some challenges, the rewards far outweigh any challenges. I feel really fortunate to be able to run the club and that my administration lets me run it. And if you're a teacher or a scout leader or a church group leader and you'd like to try this, I would just urge you, hey, give it a try. And if you have, or you're really interested in that sort of thing, let us know in the comments about your experiences. Let us know in the comments if you've run for your kids or your grandkids or their friends. How does that go? Because it is different running for younger people versus, us folks who've gamed for maybe even decades or for a lot of our lives. So we'll end with the usual stuff, like, subscribe, and all that if you like this content. And I just want to say thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. So if you'd like to check out or purchase any of our products, we have 3 books that are in print: The Star Mermaid, The Dwarven Pickup Truck, and The Sky Tree. And the best place to get the print versions is through Amazon or Lulu. And also over on DriveThru, you can get the digital versions, or we have a number of other adventures and character classes and even some stock art available on DriveThru. And then on the Roll20 Marketplace, we have some map packs and also character cards for use. So wherever you like to shop, odds are we're there. And we hope that you'll subscribe and like the video, and we'll see you next time.